What's up YouTube, Sir Hunt's Reviews, and this is going to be part 1 of a 10 to 15 part video series focusing on fan favorite characters of Game of Thrones and A Song of Ice and Fire. We're going to start off with this video of Daenerys Stormborn Targaryen. Alright, I'm going to be reading, part of this video is going to be me reading excerpts straight from the A Song of Ice and Fire wiki page. And then the second part, I'm going to throw some pictures up for you guys and let you take a look at those while I'm describing certain key events in her life. Alright, so let's get started. Daenerys is the only daughter and youngest child of King Aerys, the Mad King, Targaryen, and his sister wife, Queen Rhaella. She was named by her mother. Daenerys was conceived during the last month of the rebellion of Robert's rebellion that would ultimately end her family's reign over the Seven Kingdoms. Shortly thereafter, her mother was sent with the young Prince Viserys to the family ancestral seat of Dragonstone to escape the coming of the sack of King's Landing. Daenerys was born while a great storm raged above Dragonstone, sinking what remained of the Targaryen fleet. For this reason, she is sometimes known as Daenerys Stormborn. Her mother died in labor. Oh, that's kind of sad. Alright. Just giving my thoughts on that. That's why everybody... actually, I think the end of Season 5, Tyrion says a quote where he's like, when I was... Like, basically, when he's trying to impress her so that she doesn't execute him when they first meet, when he was the gift, he's like, I heard stories when I was a child of a Targaryen that was born during the roughest storm of like the century or some shit. So yeah, I guess that's where she gets that nickname from, Stormborn. I used to think that it was her last name. That's the reason why I'm focusing on this, because I know there's probably a few people that were like, oh, it could be like, you know, Spanish people have like 5 nicknames. Maybe that's the same idea. Like she has like 5 middle names or whatever. You know what I mean? But anyway, she got that nickname from being born in a really bad storm, and also her mom died. So. By this time, the war had already been lost. Robert Baratheon had claimed the throne, and Aerys had already been killed along with the rest of the royal family, leaving Daenerys and her older brother Viserys as the only living Targaryen heirs, other than Aegon. We don't know if Aegon's an actual Targaryen, though. Robert's brother Stannis built a new fleet for the Baratheon assault on Dragonstone. The garrison at Dragonstone planned to sell the Targaryen children to Robert, but before they could act on the plan, Sir William Dany and several other loyal retainers rescued the children and smuggled them into exile, sailing to the free city of Braavos, where they lived for years in a house with a red door. So how fucking descriptive is that? Excuse me, Mr. Martin, you spend, like, in the novels, 40 to 50 pages describing tournaments of house seals, banners, what knight's armor looks like, what the fucking horses look like, what everything looks like, and you just said they live in a house with the red door. Anyway, the Targaryen loyalists who raised the 2 children considered Viserys the rightful ruler of the 7 kingdoms, despite the family's defeat and exile, as did Viserys himself. He regarded it as his duty to revenge himself on the ones who murdered his family and reclaim the birthright that had been stolen from him when he was an only child. Now, see, this is why I like to just only read excerpts, because this is starting to focus on Viserys, and I might do him, I might not do him. It's not very popular in the show. I don't know if he ever got any POV chapters in the books. I don't think he did, but I probably won't do one on him, so I'll just kind of skip along. Viserys, just wrapping that up, Viserys, after the years that followed Sir William's death, Viserys wandered the freed 9 cities with his sister, trying to raise support to retake the Iron Throne, which earned him the mocking title, the Beggar King. That's a good one. As a result of this long humiliation, Viserys grew bitter and obsessed with his long-denied birthright. Dany was the only convenient target for his frustrations, so obviously she becomes a punching bag. He often spoke to her of the importance of preserving the purity of the royal bloodline through the ancient Valyrian practice of dynastic incest. So Dany grew up believing she would one day wed her brother. She was bright enough to realize that most of Viserys' plans for retaking the 7 kingdoms were unrealistic, and she had no memory of Westeros herself. His dream meant little to her. Instead, she longed to return to the house with the red door. which in her mind became a symbol for the childhood she lost. With no family other than the abuse of Viserys and no expectation of ever escaping his control, Dany grew into a fearful and docile young woman. Viserys and Daenerys eventually found the help they sought in the free city of Pentos in the form of a rich and powerful magistrate, Illyrio Morphatis. And that kind of wraps it up for the video part of this. The next part, I'm going to start showing you guys pictures because this is actually where Season 1 of the Game of Thrones picks up. So, enjoy these, and I'll see you at the end of the video. Alright, this is going to be starting the audio clip. We're going to flash forward to Dany in Meereen. In Meereen, men traditionally, hey, you know what, guys? I do like to add in a little bit of comedy aspect to my videos, so hopefully nobody gets offended. I know I do have people that watch me in the UK, but I'm going to try to rock my British accent on this one. In Meereen, men traditionally wear their oil black and red hair in varying shapes in homage to the Giscari culture. The Meereenese, who now serve Dany, shave their heads, symbolizing their abandonment of old Meereen to serve the new. These men are known as the Shafpates and are led by Shazak Mo Kandok, known as the Shafpate. Another of these Meereenese councils are the Shenesal, Resnak Mo Resnak. 3 fighting companies are owned by Dany. Mother's Men, a company of the Free Brothers, and the Stalwart Shields, are also formed by Daenerys. These members comprised from her freemen. They received their training in arms from Grey Worm. Daenerys's dragons have grown wilder, hunting sheep and livestock. Eventually a petitioner comes to her, presenting the bones of his 6-year-old daughter, Hezeza, claiming that a winged shadow had killed her. Prompted by this, Dany has her Unsullied capture the dragons, using nets and chains. They manage to lock them up below ground to prevent any more such killing. In a close fighting pit, Viserion and Rhaegal are captured, though the Unsullied lose their lives in the process. Drogon unmanaged to be captured by the Unsullied flees. During this time, Dany has a vision of Quaithe that offers her prophetic advice, most specifically warning her not to trust the perfumed seneschal, the man I had aforementioned earlier. Daenerys has grave enemies outside Meereen as well as inside Meereen. She has ended the slave trade in Slavers Bay. Several of the free cities that relied upon the slave trades to fuel their economy have promised to help young Kai to bring her down. Young Kai has hired several sellsword legions such as the Long Lances, Company of the Cat and the Windblown. Legions have also arrived from New Guy. The young Kai hosts first take Astapor from Cleon the King Butcher, its most recent ruler, and puts thousands of its inhabitants to the sword, or sells the rest into slavery. An escaped rider who manages to flee the confusion of the siege brings word to Dany Meereen. Unfortunately, word is not enough of what he brings, and that's not the only thing either. His body is infected with a bloody flu. I'm not sure if that's pronounced, if you actually pronounce the X or if you don't. Several other Astapori citizens flee to Meereen, bringing the disease with them. The merchant emissary, Jean Daxos, arrives from Quath, bearing a gift of 13 ships in exchange for Dany's abandonment of Slavers Bay and her departure for Westeros. Dany wishes to go, but the 13 ships are not enough to take her army of Unsullied, her army of Dothraki, and the sellswords and freemen. The Shafpates beg her not to go. If she does, those who served her and their families will die by the sons of the Harpy. She refuses Zariel Jean Daxos, which prompts Quath to join the young Kai against her. Deaths of the freedmen and Selly continue to grow nightly, and several former freed slave women are raped. It's horrible. The killings only continue throughout the Meereenese. Daenerys refuses to harm the child hostages. In despair and loneliness, Dany takes Daario Naharis as a lover. A plan to put her by the Meereenese priestess, the Green Grace Galaz. There's a lot of crazy names going on in Westeros, suggesting that Dany should wed the Meereenese noble Hizdahr Zolorak to bring peace. After a time, Dany agrees, on the condition that Hizdahr can promise her 90 days of peace. Hizdahr agrees.
Brown Ben Plum, captain of the Second Sons, learns that Dany can no longer take control of the dragons and takes his company over to the young Kai.
Alright, that pretty much wraps up this video on Daenerys Stormborn Targaryen. Make sure you guys click like, subscribe, check out this video I'm suggesting up here. Let me know who I should do next down in the comment section. There will of course be a part 2 to Dany, but that's just going to be more of where do I see her going forward in season 6. Alright, thank you guys for watching. Peace. This has been Sir Hunt's Reviews.